Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
We're back.
So, guys, we're checking over here at Live Science, and we see an Earth-sized planet is careening untethered through the galaxy, a rogue planet.
That feels and looks concerning.
Well, not really, but it's interesting though for me because it starts me thinking about the whole Nibiru thing. And, many people believe Planet X, Nemesis, Nibiru is close by, or maybe even here.
Well, I do feel there's definitely something here. I don't know if it's Nibiru.
Well, this whole rogue planet idea is very, very interesting. It's something scientists always thought in conjecture, but now they've seen one.
Interesting.
Now, if you guys are familiar with the Kardashev scale, it's a scale on which they rate civilizations and how advanced they are. And one of the things, the main criteria is harnessing energy, first, of your planet. And so a type 1 civilization is a civilization that has learned to really harness the energy completely of their planet. We're at 0.7 right now, is what the scientists are saying. At some point, though, they also, like when you get to category 2, and then 3, it goes on up through the line. You learn how to harness the energy of your sun, perhaps by making a Dyson sphere around it and actually utilizing that energy for yourself. And then eventually of your solar system and then the galaxy and perhaps even beyond that.
So we're at 0.7, so we're gaining.
Well, yeah, 0.7. So we still got a ways to go. But what if a civilization learned how to basically propel their planet anywhere they wanted and, could have the technology to keep an atmosphere in place on that planet?
I do believe that they can.
I think that exists. I just feel strongly that it exists. And I think, to me, that's how I view Nibiru.
Me too.
Yeah, as you had gotten that channeling before, and you saw it, and you said that Nibiru looked kind of ruined and not in good shape and all.
It was sad to look at it.
And that basically they had to turn it into a giant ship.
Yep, exactly.
So Earth orbits the sun like a ship sailing in circles around its anchor, but what if someone or something cuts that ship loose? Unbound from any star or solar system, what would become of a tiny world flying helplessly and heedlessly through interstellar space? So, in other words, what happens when a planet goes rogue? Scientists suspect that billions of free-floating or rogue planets may exist in the Milky Way, but so far only a couple of candidates have turned up among 4,000 or so worlds discovered beyond our solar system. Most of these potential rogue planets appear to be enormous, measuring anywhere from 2 to 40 times the mass of Jupiter. That's big. One Jupiter is equivalent to about 300 Earths. But now astronomers believe they detected a rogue world like no other, a tiny free-floating planet, roughly the size of Earth, the mass of Earth, gallivanting through the guts of the Milky Way. So this discovery was reported on the 29th in Astrophysical Journal Letters, and it may mark the smallest rogue planet ever detected, and it could help prove a long-standing cosmic theory. According to the study authors, this little world could be the first real evidence that free-floating Earth-sized planets may be some of the most common objects in the galaxy.
It sounds a little concerning.
It's interesting. It definitely is interesting. Well, that gets you thinking about, what happened between Mars and Jupiter, with the asteroid belt and the legends of Tiamat and the Earth being made from Tiamat. And, it's all fascinating stuff. Really interesting stuff. By the way, Arctic sea ice goes through a historical loss in 2020. And, it says right here, what happens up there threatens everybody on Earth. And that looks precarious to me, walking amongst all that melting ice.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
So it's been in decline for a while, but 2020 is turning out to be by far one of the worst years ever. And it's a historic event, is what an atmospheric scientist named Zach Labbe at Colorado State University, who tracks the Arctic, he says we have to pay attention to these climate change indicators. And, I talked about, well, I actually put a little note in there on yesterday's upload about expanding Earth to please go check out Adapt 2030's video from yesterday. Because, David and I were talking about this last night, and, he again thinks it's historic. And he's curious if it could be related to the beginning of another mud flood. There's more going on than meets the eye here. And, obviously, when we look at Antarctica and the western side, the western ice sheet in Antarctica is melting faster than the eastern one. And the reason that many people believe is because they've discovered tons of new volcanoes under there. And so if the volcanoes are active, they're going to melt the ice. Doesn't mean it's carbon emissions.
That's right.
So what was interesting here that David discovered was very straight lines, which don't really occur in nature, which make us wonder about what's really going on here. And obviously, there's all sorts of technology, talking about Kardashev scale, that even this human civilization has that I don't think the masses understand and know about. Besides that, also the possibility of perhaps there is, ongoing cracks in the earth, movement going on. I mean, we have a lot of volcanic activity. We have a lot of, besides all the volcanoes going online right now, we have a lot of earthquakes and swarms in interesting places too. And we know that the Gulf Stream has been weakening. It's been weakening significantly. And when we look at it here, and you could see this is out of Earth Null School, at some point in time, it will probably stop. And up here in the Arctic is something called the Beaufort Gyre, which we talked about before. And there's fresh water that builds up and then flushes out. And that stops this Gulf Stream. And then what we have is rapid cooling going on all throughout this whole area here, from New England, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, which, it's interesting too, because Greenland's not green, and Iceland is actually more green than Greenland is, typically, and that's because of the Gulf Stream. And that's also what gives the UK and Ireland, it's relatively temperate weather for where it is positioned. But that would all change with the Gulf Stream shutting down. And so it's fascinating. There are major changes underway right now.
And that's exactly what I feel too.
Do you get an impression on what's going on?
I feel it's going to be in our lifetime. I just think the impression is we really need to keep an eye on this and be prepared for, who knows, anything.
Yeah, because what happens is it basically just goes straight across to Portugal and like northern Africa area, and comes back, and it doesn't bring that so desperately needed warmth to UK and Northern Europe. Like Scandinavian countries too will be getting much colder as well. So, things to keep your eye on. And as this is loading here, we see Hurricane Zeta left over 2.1 million customers without power, and at least 5 dead after battering the Gulf Coast. This thing is moving so fast. There were wind gusts that were up to Category 3, by the way. But it is moving so fast that it's not leaving tons and tons of water in its wake, which is a plus.
And let's send our prayers that way.
And it was, by the way, the 27th storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. And it made landfall in Louisiana as a Category 2 and was weakening to a post-tropical cyclone by the afternoon. So the power outages, that's something that, take a little while to get back to normal. As we speak, it is probably right around New Jersey right now, moving so fast. It'll be in the Atlantic by tonight.
Yeah, it will.
So we also still have the wildfires going on, guys. And as this is loading, thank you for your patience with the connection here, being out in the middle of nowhere. It's now threatening multi-million-dollar homes in Orange County. So this one didn't burn as many acres, but it's threatening some very, very high-priced property.
That looks terrifying.
It is, and California's been pounded. It has really been pounded, just like Louisiana's been pounded with the storms. California has been pounded with the wildfires, and they have forced nearly 100,000 people to evacuate. And now they're threatening to go through very upscale neighborhoods as you still have hurricane force winds driving the flames over the hillsides.
God bless those people, man. Scary.
Yeah, and as we had said before too, this was the first year where we had more people leaving. It was 2019, had more people leaving California than going into it first time. And, there is an exodus going on. Yeah. And surprisingly, a lot of people are going to Montana, or maybe not so surprisingly. But man, I was reading an article about the prices of real estate. I mean, they're going up like crazy in Montana right now.
Well, it's beautiful country too. So.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you being a girl from northern Idaho, right on the Canadian border, I'm sure you've been across the border.
Rugged, beautiful country.
Now, we talked about the strengthening storms and also strengthening storm systems with very, very increased power due to these fronts that are clashing. The fronts are getting stronger, and all this makes for incredible hail, and possibly one of the largest hail storms that we've seen on record. And you have some of these measuring more than 8 inches in diameter, coming down and hitting somebody on the head could definitely do damage.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Those are skull crushers.
This is in Libya's capital of Tripoli, and so this occurred on the 27th. Exceptionally massive hail, measuring more than 8 inches in diameter. Reports indicate the hail could be one of the largest on record, along with the 2010 Dakota storm and the 2018 Argentinian hailstorm as well. Obviously, with something that big, you got a lot of damage to properties, trees, cars, windows. There's videos here for you guys to take a look at. As you can see people measuring it in their hands, that's pretty darn big.
That's scary and sad.
It is. It is part of the changing times that we have going on. And, we in the West have gotten just an incredible Arctic blast. Now, it's beautiful today again. Mm-hmm. We were out and it felt like it was in the 70s, although it probably was only in the 60s. But after being, overnight lows in the teens, it feels wonderfully warm. And right now there's nothing in the sky with the geoengineering.
I know, but I've been a little worried about the birds. I don't see any.
That's true. It seems like, I don't know where all the birds went. If they went down into, warmer territories, I hope they were not hurt with the plunging Arctic blast that we had. Montana, speaking about Montana, records the coldest temperature ever this early in the season in the continental U.S., and this was at Potomac, Montana, temperature of 33 below Celsius, 29 below Fahrenheit on Sunday morning. That was the coldest ever in the continuous U.S. this early in the season.
No denying times are changing.
Yeah, tons and tons of records fell on this one. Wow. It's going to be a roller coaster ride, guys.
Absolutely.
And even Mexico, Chihuahua, down in Mexico, got their first snowfall as their temperatures plunged to 17.6 degrees Fahrenheit in Mexico.
Wow.
This was happening while the Yucatan Peninsula was hit by Hurricane Zeta. Incredible what we are seeing going on. And in fact, over the past 7 days, the United States broke 3,782 low temperature records. And you had just 518 high temperature records.
That's incredible.
So yeah, we are in changing times, guys. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Anybody that wants to set up an appointment with Cindy and myself, just reach out to evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS @protonmail. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.